Ba-dum, bum, bum.
Windy pig, oh, windy, 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 windy pig.
Alright, dudes, we're back in the garage. Just gonna. I've been having trouble with the fucking 550. I think. Well, I'm almost certain that what happened is when I did the valves, or when I was going to do the valves, because I've been using it fairly regularly up to that point. I had been using E10, without any problems because I was running it every day. You know, the tank wasn't sitting there for more than maybe a day or two at the weekend. I was too pissed to ride. But once I started on the valves, and it turned out to be sort of difficult to get the bits, or it took me longer than I had anticipated to get to doing everything. It sat for a good month or two. Plus, then I went on holiday for a bit, and then so yeah, it sat for maybe 2 months, full of E10, and when I first got it out after doing the valves, it was fine for the first couple of days, and then it started running a bit lumpy, and then one of the cylinders wouldn't fire, which I initially thought was just because of the bad fuel, or maybe some shit fuel from the top of the tank got knocked around, got in and stuff. But it still didn't clear it. Then I thought it was just one of the floats sticking, so I've unstuck that and just adjusted that a little bit, and it's still doing it. It's literally just low rev. So from idle up to 3,500 revs, it just one of the cylinders won't run. Cylinder number 4, cylinder number 1. Looking at this, yeah, cylinder number 1 wouldn't run, which is this one. I did have pilot jet out to have a look, and the washer in there, the O-ring, looked a bit rough and a bit torn apart, and it's such a fine adjustment for these, especially on the pilot end, which is, you know, the idle and everything. I think that's probably the problem. So, and as I haven't actually serviced the carbs, bought this bike, you know, been sat for fucking forever. When I bought it, I did all the bare minimum to get it running, and I've just been running it and fixing things as they fall apart, you know, after the initial build. So the initial build was final drive and bevel boxes and stuff needed doing. It was before I started filming these things. But since then, it's just been various bits of servicing, like the valves we just did. The race suspension, the front suspension. Done the exhaust recently, welded that all up. I didn't film any of that because I didn't have the cameras with me. We were welding. But this is the next job. I'm hoping this is all it's going to be. So I'm just going to go through one of these because they're 4 the same. So I'm going to start that end just because this end's a bit awkward because it's got the idle speed adjuster attached to it as well. So it's harder to see and get to. But we'll start with this top end. I'm just going to make sure it's on the camera properly. Is it? Looks to be. Maybe I'll do it that way around, and then easier to see. We'll find out. We'll see how we go. But yeah, and this is one of those jobs that's really easy if you've got a set of carbs. You buy one of these kits, or as many of these kits as you need for how many carbs you've got. Obviously, I bought 4. 4 carbs. Might buy 2. Might buy 3. Might buy 1. I might buy 6. I don't think you buy 5. I don't think you like 5 carbs. Nope. So yeah, so we're going to do this. It's a very simple process, and while we're in the carburetor, we'll just check a few bits. So the first thing to do is have this pilot jet out. Got a new one of these to go in. So you can see how, look at that, look at that shit around there, and that is all deposits from fuel. This is why I'm thinking this is going to be all caused by that E10. I'm going to start to put E5 now. I'm going to start being less of a cheapskate and start putting E10 in it. So that comes out of there, and then we've got to get the spring out. So there's a few components. You've got in these pilots, you'll have this. There's shit in there, isn't it? You'll have the jet itself, the spring, which apparently doesn't want to come out. Right, let's fucking figure this out. Stop dicking about. fuck me. Nope, I'll get out with that. Try this. Oh, that is fucking grim. Oh, the state of that. All those white deposits all over it. So yeah, this is long overdue, this. The O-ring in there is absolutely shredded as well. That's a shame. Yeah, this is long overdue. That O-ring is absolutely shredded. That's frustrating. I'm just pushing that further in. It's very depressing. So, I'm going to have a think about this now, because that's fucked me right up. Don't normally have them that bad. Let's get the rest of the carb off anyway and have a look at the rest of it. So but that's interestingly enough, what I just spotted there is there should be, on the bottom of that spring, there should be a little washer. And that little washer stops the spring, when you're tightening it down, from shredding the O-ring. So that's interesting. So I didn't rebuild these I did rebuild them a bit when I bought them. I just cleaned them. But that tells me that whoever put them back together last time didn't know what they were doing. Now I need to find a little thing to put these screws in. Not prepared for this. Not prepared at all, have I? They all gone there. Alright, well, I'm going to put them in the lid of this. How's that? I'm going to do that, are we? This is all the stuff for the throttle, so it's hard to find it. Right. Get into this. So that looks nice and clean. It's a bit grim, but nothing that's going to cause problems. This is all clean in here, so I reckon this is our only problem. Now, how am I going to get that O-ring out of there? I need to think of something pretty sharpish. Right, gonna need something a bit thinner. What I got that might get in there. Using the old. There we go, it's got it. Look at the state of that O-ring, that's absolutely fucked. Oh, it's gone in again. I'll probably cover that with the camera. Barely an O-ring left. And I'm amazed there's no washer. I'm sure it should be washer then O-ring. I'll double check that. There's no washer in there. I can see. Is there? Right at the bottom. So the other thing I need to have to this is a carb cleaner. It looks like there might be a washer in there, which is annoying. No washer. No washer. I'll double check on the diagram for the carb that I am right, and it is washer, O-ring then washer. Normally is, but things change in the world. Yep. Yeah, right. That's good. So yeah, so someone's put this together without the washers, so it's not like it's even stuck to the bottom of that spring. And you can see in this rebuild kit, you've got a float, which will change in a second. Spring, washer, O-ring. I think that's a plug. Some old carbs have had a plug on the pilot adjuster, so once you adjusted it, you put the plug in, so it couldn't be changed. Mostly in America and stuff, in the old days where the emissions were a big deal, whereas it didn't care too much here. It's probably going to be one of those things that comes back. You adjust your, well, I suppose you can't really do it anymore, can you? Adjust your mixture without the computer. But it was an emissions thing to keep the thing nice and low. So we've got this old float. That's the old one. It's going to go. But I'm amazed how bad that is. I tell you, the deposits on there are disgusting. So I'm glad we're doing this. I'm going to give all these a toot. I'm going to take these jets out and have a look at them as well. So that's your pilot, that's your idle jet basically. And you've got the low running jet in here. I've had these out before, so they shouldn't be trying to get out. That's that one, look. And that's just a little tiny hole. Can't see down in there. Just make sure it's clear. This one isn't. Can't see through this one. So that's, yeah. So there's another problem. So I reckon I was wrong then. So it might not have been the pilot circuit that was wrong. It might have been this jet. One of the ways you can clean these is because you've got these little flutes inside of it. You want to be clear. Just put your thing on it and give it a blast. Make sure it's coming out of all the holes. Toot that way as well. Now we can see through that. One thing you should never do, which I always do, is just run a bit of copper down it. Because you can scratch inside of it and you can make real problems with it. And if you're running a real performance machine, and you're tuning it and you're running it really fast and you're doing all that sort of stuff, don't do this because you can damage the pathways. But this is a natty old 550cc commuter bike. I'm not too worried about it not being exactly stoichiometric. So I'm just going to run a tiny little bit of copper down the hole just to make sure it's clear. Just get a bit of stranded copper cable. Use copper because copper's nice and soft. Shouldn't do any damage to the brass of these, really. But well, just So now give it a blast. Nice. So you can see through that. All the holes on the side are clear. See right down through the holes. That's good. That's nice and clean. Stick that one back in. So this is. And I've got to admit something now. I would always poo-poo people if they said to me, "Oh, you can't put E10 in carb bikes. You can't put E10 in carb bikes." Maybe they're right. Because this was only sat for, at worst, 2 months. Not even that long. So this is the main jet now. Take that out and have a look at it. These normally tend to stay clear. Yeah, it's massive. I'll run a bit of coupling down anyway. But yeah, I might have to admit I was wrong. Maybe we shouldn't be putting E10 in these bikes because it's absolutely fucked mine up. Just sitting for a little while. So if you've got a bike with carbs and you think you can get away with running E10, maybe don't. Because, as you can see, it leaves horrible deposits after just 2 months. And that is not a very long time for a bike to sit, especially if you're not much of a rider in the winter. So, unfortunately, it's going to have to hurt your wallet. So anyway, that's the main jet. Same with the other one. Clean that one. Just check it's clear. Check you can see right through it. Check all the little holes in the what do you call it? Atomizer. That's what they call them. So that's clear. They don't have to be super tight down. These are brass. They're very soft. Don't fucking force them in. Don't fucking graunch them down. Just tight enough. And now the fiddly rebuild. So, where's my knife? I always had a problem with this because it was always leaking fuel out the carbs. If I turned the tap on, the floats wouldn't properly stop the fuel flow. So this was always in the cars at some point. At least new floats were. So it's absolutely worth doing. It's got a new gasket for this. I'll do that in a minute. Right, let's make sure we get everything in there. Start with the float. Where's the old one? The others are slightly different. The new one looks a lot better. The other thing we're going to have to do after this is set the float heights. And I think I've done a bit of that before, but we can do it again because I think I've got a better camera now and better setup and better editing. So it never hurts to do things twice. I'm just going to give that a blast of down there. Looks pretty good. Give that a blast of carbon. Blast it there. Right. Put this back in. That's definitely that float height needs adjusting because that feels low. We'll check that in a bit. So that's the least fiddly bit of the job. Next is the really fiddly bit. So we've now got to try and get these tiny little O-rings. A little tiny O-ring. It's gone in. Tiny washer. Now is that O-ring gone in nice and flush? Use the old one. I don't want to damage the new one. It's down. Right. Put this washer over here. That's in. New spring. It's in there. What we're going to do, I'm just going to make sure it's all lined up with the old one, just so I don't want to damage the new one anyway. And that, my lovelies. Do that. Just make sure it's down there. Just double check your O-rings in the right. You know, nothing's been pinched. It's hard to see in this light. That gets better. Yeah, and that's it really. That's literally the carb surface. If they're already clean, which mine were, because I cleaned them a long time ago properly, you know. That's how all it takes. And then you just drop your new pilot jet in. Like that. Wind it in. And these are 2.5 turns out for these stock settings on these. So I'm going to wind it all the way in until I feel a bit of resistance. Never force it. So that's all the way in, a bit of resistance. And then it's half. One. Just more like that. Try that. Better? Is that better? Let's give it a shot. It's like fuck, isn't it? Just keep dropping down. Light a light bulb. Where was I? Fuck, I forgot. Right, let's go right to the bottom. That's down, not hard, but you know, down. So it feels like it's stopping. Don't force it any further. You go half, one, half, two, half. 2.5 turns out. I'm not going to put the plug in because A, it won't fit, and B, we don't need it. So that can be kept. And that's it for simple carb surface. I'm actually amazed how bad they were in there. And then for changing the O-rings. Oh, stupid. There it is. For changing the O-rings on this, I mean, I'm sure you can do that. Just fucking whip the old ones out, give it a clean. Put the new ones in. Yeah, simple as that. And we'll do that on these three. And then once I've done those, I'll come back and do another balancing video. Not balancing video. I'll do a float height video, and that'll be a service. This has got some shit in it, as you can see, so I'm just going to very carefully take this shit out. Shouldn't really use a metal screwdriver, but they're rubber openings, it shouldn't be too bad. Just take all this shit out, just so we get a nice solid seal. But yeah, for the minute, that's it, and I'll be back hopefully in an hour or two. Obviously not to you. I'll come back in an hour so I've done all these and do a height video, and then put the cars back on until they run. Thanks for watching as always. Nice short video, and I'll see you next time.
Ba-dum, bum, bum.
Windy pig, oh, windy